Welcome to the Faith and Happiness Podcast. I am your host, Elle Edwards, mental health champion, positive psychology geek, and founder of the Faith and Happiness Playground. And I'm here with Bible-friendly happiness coaching to help you be youier. What do I mean by youier? You being the person that God made you to be. It is the ultimate secret, in inverted commas. It shouldn't be a secret at all, but it is the real way that you can be happier and have a life where you can thrive and go out there and be a shining, delightful beacon of loveliness in this world. God's advocate, his hands and feet. And that's my ultimate why behind the work here at the playground, is what God has called me to do. And if that sounds like something that would be appealing to you, if it sounds like something you could use some help with, if you want to smile more, go to faithandhappinessplayground.com/join. Anyway, let's get on with today's episode. Now, this episode is being released on Thursday, and it is Thanksgiving in America. So if you're watching or listening and you are in America, happy Thanksgiving. Everybody else, happy Thursday. Now, what I want to say as well, because in yesterday's episode, I mentioned the Christmas trees. So if you listen to the podcast in one of the various podcasting apps or on a device, you don't see the video version. I would encourage you to go to faithandhappinessplayground.com/220. It's episode 220. How did that happen? That's crazy. Episode 220. So faithandhappinessplayground.com/220 and have a look at the video version and you can see my trees. Because I did promise you yesterday, if you haven't heard yesterday's episode, this won't make a lot of sense. You're going to go back to it. But what I reminded you yesterday was we were talking about happiness, and I was talking about one of my bugbears with social media, the fact that you only ever see what people want you to see. And I gave this podcast as an example because I'm pretty light on the editing of this podcast. You will have heard me fall over my words. You'll hear me pause sometimes when I need to just think what it was I wanted to say. The only time I really edit is if the dogs start going bananas. They usually go bananas if the postman comes or if there's another dog going past on the street. Everything else, we tend to just go with the flow. That said, even with my light editing, I like to make sure the background is relatively clutter-free. And so I gave the example yesterday. I sort of said, well, looking around my room, and it's not particularly messy, except for the Christmas trees. And I made reference to these two lovely Christmas trees. So my real Christmas trees are not up yet. That will be going up, all being well, later this week or possibly next week. But these came through. They were props. One of my husband's colleagues in work, his daughter is a photographer, and she needed these Christmas trees as props. Apparently there was about 6 or 7 of these in work, and he took a couple. He thought they'd make a really nice backdrop. What I'm discovering is they're actually quite hard. If you look at them, they're quite hard to get into the shot neatly. So I'm not sure if they're going to be making an appearance. They might make an appearance maybe sort of mid-December when I can get some tinsel on them. I had to play with the camera angles a bit more. But anyway, it's all a bit random nonsense, but that's the point of the Christmas trees, and that's why I'm encouraging you to listen, to watch rather than just listen today, because you get to see my Christmas trees, which is quite exciting. Anyway, in today's episode, we are thinking about and exploring the idea how all of life is spiritual, how God can take and does take and will take the ordinary things of life and invade them. The story for this one is that the inspiration for this one happened as I was standing in the shower last week. Now, I, like most people, probably enjoy having a shower, like every other time, the water was sloshing all over my head, like it usually does in the shower. But all of a sudden, God just gave me this, I want to say revelation, but that sounds really grand and fancy. But there's this awareness of his presence and this idea that as we step into a brand new day, we are being refreshed. And so as the water was sort of trickling and sloshing all over my head, it was this feeling of being refreshed and reborn and renewed and all these other words, and be prepared to step into this brand new day. And it was wonderful and it was lovely. And I was sort of singing in my head. I do like to sing out loud, but it was very early in the morning. But what then God reminded me of is this, that actually he is in every single aspect of every single part of your today. And every single thing in your day is spiritual. Now, our Bible verse for this is Psalm 19 from verse 1. It says, the heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they reveal knowledge. They have no speech. They use no words. No sound is heard from them. Yet their voice goes out into all the earth. Their words to the ends of the world. I'm going to pause there at that one. The reminder that God can and does and will use everything. as a way to remind us that we are loved, as a way to sometimes nudge us, as a way just to make us pause and wonder. But this reminder that all of life is spiritual. God is involved in every aspect of your life. And as I've said to you before, we're not loved on by an aloof, distant God. He's never caught unawares. He's there loving on you, even when you don't realize it. But it's thanks to these little moments like the water sloshing on my head, or when you see a particularly beautiful sunset, and it's like God suddenly crowds into your day and you get that moment. And it's wonderful and magical. But I did promise you earlier in the week that I would mention to you how the way that your brain is wired, it's wired to help you see more of God in day-to-day life than you might ordinarily see. It's easy to miss because, let's be honest, life is busy. We go about our day. But reticular activating system is the filter at the back of your brain. If you were to notice every single piece of stimuli, you would go crazy. Instead, your brain, much like the Facebook algorithm, really, it filters in what you experience based on what it thinks is important to you. And so, for example, and this is the example I always give, my car is bright yellow, and now I see yellow cars fairly often. And so, but until I had bought a bright yellow car, I never used to see bright yellow cars. Same example, if you find out that you're pregnant or someone you care about is expecting a baby and you suddenly start seeing babies everywhere, that's because of the reticular activating system. Your brain suddenly realizes that stuff's important to you and it filters it in. And you can use that same brain science to filter in things that make you happy and filter in God. And the two aren't exclusive. The two can be wrapped into each other as well, of course. So I want to encourage you today, ask God to help give you eyes to see him in the ordinary aspects of your today. And the fact that you have this conversation with him, it will signal to your brain that that's important to you. And, God will help you as well. So it's like a win-win. You're wired that way, and God wants to be in your day. He never leaves your day, but he wants you to be aware of him there, having that relationship with him. And so ask him, and then wait and see what comes up, because he is in every single aspect of our lives. And yes, sometimes we can be guilty of over spiritualizing things. If you're an email subscriber, a couple of weeks ago, there was the email that never was. And my first reaction was, well, maybe God didn't want them to hear that bit. Well, no, sometimes stuff just happens. The tech fails us, for example. But that doesn't stop the truth of the fact that God is in every single aspect of your life and wants to be in conversation with you day in, day out. So I want to encourage you, keep your eyes open for those love notes, those little reminders of God in your day. And if you need help with it, of course, come and join the playground, faithandhappinessplayground.com/join. I shall be back tomorrow. In the meantime, thank you for being here. Smile. Have yourself a delightful day. Take care. Bye-bye.